Did anybody reach out for help beyond the town level to anybody else beyond?
Oh yeah, they written to the state level, AG's office. His assistant, they always referred you to in Phoenix. You couldn't get any help. Nobody wanted to come to Quartzsite for anything. They just stayed away.
And why do you think that was?
I don't know. You could never get anybody of authority to come in and investigate. I guess they've had FBI here a few times.
So Chief Gilbert was basically getting fired from CRIT when he was hired here.
Yeah.
Martin Brannon was basically
joke.
He was basically getting fired from the county when he got hired here, and
Yeah.
now Laura Bruno was left on the heels of scandal out there. Why do you think Quartzsite hired those kinds of people?
They like them. They fit right in. They fit into their scheme.
Do you think that they hired them because they thought they could bend to corruption?
Oh yeah, that's why they would like those people. My feelings, anyway.
Yeah. Hi, and welcome to another edition of Legally Insane News. Today's outtake is an interview with Lew Wilkinson. He's kind of an old timer in town, and at the time of his interview, he'd lived in Quartzsite for more than 3 decades. His perspective on the town is very unique because most of the other interviews I had were with folks who either, hadn't been there for long or were transients or vendors, or some of them were even seasonal residents. Some at the time of my interview weren't even living in Quartzsite at the time. They'd either moved on long ago or, I interviewed them at a time when, because they were transient residents or part-time residents, they were in their summer home in the Cascades or something, who knows. But because he's lived in the same address since the late 80s, he knows basically everything. He's one of those locals who's tapped into local government and kept his ear to the ground, and so his perspective is very cool. Now, his memory wasn't necessarily spot on, however, on a couple of the things that he says, and that's fine. You can chalk that up to rumor or whatever. But one example is that he recalls that Rex Byrd was let out of prison because he kind of claims that the judge had sympathy for his cancer or something like that. However, in my interview with both that judge who released him, as well as the prosecutor from his case, Steve Suskin, and Judge Moon was the judge in that case, they both confirmed that his release was based on Robert Bacon's recanting of crucial testimony. And Robert Bacon was the state's star witness in that case. So the star witness recanting that is why he got out. But both Suskin's and Moon's interviews will be released soon, and you'll kind of hear more in depth about that story. Scattered details aside, Lew really does a good job at introducing a lot of new information, as well as confirming other information that you may have heard throughout the documentary. Very cool perspective, and his story does a great job of painting a much broader picture of Quartzsite than the film could capture on its own. Of course, given the plot that I had to follow to tell this other kind of darker story about the town. And honestly, I like his version. It really does. It's just an interesting little town, and it's a lot of fun. And if you're considering going there at all, I really suggest that you do. Don't worry about the claims of municipal corruption so much, or like, the dirty cops messing with you, or, you might get a ticket or something, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's like it was in that time. And I think largely the visitors are left alone. In the end, a lot more footage from Lew's interview was used in the original series that I had put together for the expansion of Big Trouble in Little Quartzsite, and I'll hope to start releasing that later this year for my supporting members. So if you're not a supporting member at legallyinsanenews.com, head over there, and I will be releasing the series upcoming. I've finally gotten time set aside this year to get to work on editing that. So if you're excited to see the expanded version of Big Trouble in Little Quartzsite, head over to legallyinsanenews.com and sign up for a free membership or a paid membership, and you'll get newsletters, all the articles I release, the podcasts, obviously the outtakes and extras, the interviews that didn't make it to the film and stuff like that I'm doing here with the release of Lew's interview. All that stuff is available over there. But this interview is being released in full, both publicly on my video channels, which are, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey. Feel free to go find my platforms by searching Legally Insane News, as well as early releases of all of these. So if you're seeing this on a public channel, you're seeing it late. My free and supporting members have already watched this interview. I release things at least a couple of days before for my members, just to show some love for everybody that's supporting me over there. So, but in any case, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Lew Wilkinson.
News this morning were just unbelievable. How the helicopter is showing all the interstates, all white, every place.
Yeah.
It really piled up.
All right. So forget about the camera. Don't worry about looking at the camera. It's just you and me having a conversation. Okay. Don't worry about any of this gear. Don't worry about it intimidating you or anything. Do me a favor. Do you know of a nursery rhyme or a poem or something you can recite for me so I can get some audio levels on you real quick? How about tell me your childhood address?
Childhood address was in Shelbyville, Indiana, rural route number 3.
I know Shelbyville, Indiana.
Is that right?
Yeah, I went to college in Indiana.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where'd you go in Indiana?
Southeast campus of Indiana U.
Oh, is that right?
Yep, right across the water from Louisville.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
I went to IUPUI there in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good journalism school there.
Went to Indiana College of Mortuary Science. Got out of that.
Oh yeah, you didn't end up.
Yeah, I went ahead and I got all my situation taken care of. And when I got back, I had planned to buy a mortuary from the guy I was working for.
Mm-hmm.
He had 3 of them, and he was getting ready to close one down, and I wanted it. It wasn't big, but it was high volume dollar-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was in IUPUI and then into, just for a year, I had to go do small business and bookkeeping to get into Indiana College of Mortuary Science, so I had to, now there I go, I lost it.
Bookkeeping and mortuary sciences?
Yeah, I got my degree there, got back to Indiana, or back down to home, and he sold it to somebody else for cash. He was going to time me out on it and carry the loan. So I quit that immediately. I just let it go. Yeah. And they were hiring EMTs for the first time in Indiana for the fire department. Well, actually, they were at the sheriff's office. And I got to go to Chicago to the American College of Surgeons and get my EMT. And in the meantime, they put me on the sheriff's department as a deputy, special deputy, because we were based there to start with.
In Indiana? All
in Indiana, yeah, they're in Shelbyville. And then they decided, well, we don't really want you guys sucking off of our pension plan here. Fire station's got room for you, the rural station. So they moved us out there. Well, they didn't want us sucking on their pension plan, so it went for 4 years and nobody got a pension. And we said, we're not going to do this, so we quit. All of us did.
Yeah.
And went on to bigger and better things.
Kind of screwed themselves there.
Yeah, but now I runs into my chief, that was the ambulance driver, and I was EMT ride along to do the medical part. And I taken my mom to an eye doctor one day, back in Indiana when I went back to visit. And my old chief came out and sat down, and he said, Wilkinson, we screwed up. He said, you know what they're hiring and starting these guys out at? And I don't know, we went to work for like $17,000. He said, $45,000, and they're on the pension. He said anybody that was on that weren't included at the time or brought up to date, and they got everything.
Yeah.
But that's all right. I moved to Montana and loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind living in Montana either. It's beautiful up there.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and start. Easiest way to start is the intro. And I'm kind of curious. Do you have any old photos or documentation of any kind, video or anything like that from the last 30 years of?
Not really.
No. All right. A lot of people keep old newspapers or old magazines or with printouts from the town or something like that. If you think of it, let me know.
Okay.
I'm happy to come over. And I can make digital copies and you can keep the originals.
Yeah.
I don't have to take anything from you. All right, so let's get an intro.
Okay.
Just say, my name is Lew Wilkinson. I've lived in Quartzsite for however long you lived here.
No. My name is Lew Wilkinson. I've lived in Quartzsite since 1988, 31 years. Same phone number, same address.
Cool. And how would you characterize Quartzsite? And Quartzsite's a pretty unique town, right? Tell me, if I didn't know anything about Quartzsite, describe Quartzsite to me.
To me, I've seen it advertised before as dusty, dirty, quirky little town. That's just the way it is. I don't think it's changed, really. Things have changed, faces have changed. It's still a little town. I don't see industry coming in here and making it big. The people here today are a few locals, very few. Most of the time when they get out of high school for here and they're having to go to Siloam to finish high school, they're out of here. Very few locals still here.
Why do you think that is?
Nothing to do. Every store in town has got help wanted signs up, all continuously. There's just no working class here, not enough. Town hall is full of at least 85% of people that live out of town. They don't live in Quartzsite and work for the town. They live out of town.
So let's jump right into the start of town. How was the town incorporated? Who incorporated it? And tell me the big strokes on that one.
It was brought up, I came in 88, it was brought up in 89 that they should incorporate. Richard Oldham was the instigator of that, and it went through the procedure and was incorporated back in 89. They started having meetings that my wife and I went to at it was down by the main event, little brick building down there. A few of the meetings. Went to the first Christmas party meeting for the kids in Quartzsite. And I noticed the mayor squat down and talk to each little kid. And he'd reach in his pocket and give them something. I didn't know what it was. So I caught a little boy that I knew going out, and I said, "What did he give you?" And he got it in his pocket. He says, "A silver dollar." So I don't know if they were silver dollars or just normal. But that was my first impression. I thought everything was going to fly like that. But I was wrong.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's they got a council and got a building, built a new town hall. I don't know what year that was. I know we were at most of the meetings for years. My wife and I would be there in attendance. The Rex Byrd was the second mayor after the mayor's second term. That was a fiasco. I mean, it was the two biggest money men in the town fighting over what they wanted to do. And you've heard the whole story, I'm sure, on Byrd.
Well, I have, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it.
Byrd got in as a mayor, that he wanted to take Oldham out. So he hired a hitman that was an undercover state trooper, and for $10,000. So they set it all up with videos and everything, and showed that they had committed the murder, blood all over, and put him in a tarp and dropped him in a well out in the desert someplace, an old mine shaft. And when they got ready to make the money drop, it was to be put in an old camper that was sitting someplace here on Main Street, or not Main Street, North Central Avenue now. And then whoever went to pick up the money, then they pinched that guy, and that ended the story right there. Byrd went to prison for a while and finally got out on I think it was Judge Moon, finally let him out because of a cancer problem he had pop up. That's a little iffy too, but anyway, he was out for a while. He came back to resume his mayorship as far as I can remember. And it's gone to, I don't know how many different town managers we've had and mayors and council. It's changed a lot, but it's mostly the face change. Not a lot's been done, except the budget goes up every year. I think we're up to a $25 million budget in this little town. The only real income coming in is from town's water and sewer. And police department's gotten humongous. It's big, probably more than they actually need, but they want more. I just I can't see that much expense going out. Just my feeling on it. It's still a little town. It's like I say, there's help wanted signs every place. There's just no working class here. It's a retirement town.
Now, as I understand it, there were supporters of Oldham and there were supporters of Byrd.
Oh yeah, the A team and the B team.
Yeah, and that case that you mentioned was really the chasm that divided the town.
That divided it for sure.
Now, did that stay divided? What happened?
It's still divided.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's still divided.
How so? Describe how that's divided.
I don't really know. I know there's a group of us that don't like the way things are run, and there's a group that pushes to keep it that way. They are, as long as the money comes in, they like to spend money. And they're going to make it a beautiful town. That goes back to the fact that many years ago, the highway from San Luis through Quartzsite was going to be 4 lanes. In fact, a few years ago, they put in some extra culverts between here and Yuma. They got about halfway down, I guess, with extra culverts to make a 4-lane. So that was going to bring all the truck traffic through Quartzsite and to make a warehouse out of it and airports for cargo planes to come in here. And that's all gone by the wayside now. That new highway is going to go in not Algodones, over in, I can't think of the name of the next town over. But anyway, it's coming up through Wickenburg. Totally a whole highway over from coming up through Quartzsite.
Is that 95 or 10? We said one over?
South of here, I'm not sure what that is. It comes up that they're going to expand.
Yuma? South?
No, it's not. That's where they were coming originally, from Yuma up here.
Yeah.
But now that's been changed to
No, it's neither here nor there.
the other town.
Yeah. If you had to describe it to somebody who knows nothing about the situation, A team and B team, I don't know which one's which, but let's just say A liked it the way it was and
Yeah.
B wanted to change it.
Yeah.
What were their actual objectives? What did A want and what did B want?
A, if I've got the teams right, wanted to keep it as it is. It was really a boomer when we got here in '88. I came actually in '87 for a while to check it out, and '88 to stay. But it was wall-to-wall people, and they stayed, and they spent money. It was a good business. I was in vending all those years. We did well enough to travel a little bit, go back up to Montana and Indiana, places we wanted to go for a couple months, and come back down early and get ready to go again. It was just something you look forward to because it was good, real good. The state started to come in and enforce the tax collection on merchandise, which we complied with, but it was still good business. The fire department got a little picky on fireproof tarps there for a while, and now I understand they're trying to do it again. I don't know who's pushing that, but it's very expensive to go to fireproof tarps. But vendors are not coming down like they used to. They're here for a brief time, and nobody stays 4 or 5 months. Used to be able to do that, but not anymore.
Is that because of the B team?
Well, I don't know. What causes that? I think the generations changed. People aren't interested in what they were 25 or 30 years ago. It's their kids come along now, but they got new motorhomes and they're looking for better territory to, rather than hang out in the desert here. They'll go to Yuma and get into a nice park and stay there. A lot of old trailer parks here. Some are in compliance with size, and many of them are not. They're grandfathered in. So you don't get a great big motorhome pulling a great big cargo trailer. There's no room for them. Some places they have pull-throughs, but not very many.
Right. And so what did B Team want?
B Team, well, if I've got the teams right, I could be wrong there, wants to improve everything. They put the 4-lane highway in. Now they're decorating the sides of the road. They've started on the south exit 17 and have new improved with all the trees and extra water system that the town's using to keep the trees alive. You see the street down to Town Hall, all the trees. I don't think they thought about maintenance on those trees when they put them all in. It's constant people out there manicuring those trees. It's just going to get worse. The bigger they get, the more water they use.
What do you think the big picture was for what the B Team wanted?
I'm not real sure. They want to make it Palm Springs, I think. Make it look like that. Trying to. They think the industry's going to come in here. I don't think it will. We got the chicken farm over by Bowes. They hire prisoners to come in there and work. They're on good behavior. So other than a few people they bring in from other areas, nobody from Quartzsite that I know of works there. That it didn't really bring us any money here in town. It might bring the county a lot of money. But the chicken farm is, now they've got people saying, oh, the smell is terrible. Didn't think of that, I guess.
I would imagine it is, especially in the summer.
Now they've got an aluminum smelting plant wanting to come in to recycle aluminum at the place. And that's being fought. We're not sure where that's going to be. They first said Salome and Vicksburg, and now it's between Salome and Wyndon, someplace. But most people don't want that. It's a hazard. Any place they've had aluminum smelting is just about went under.
You had the first mayorship was just crazy, right?
Yeah.
Almost,
First and second.
almost immediately, as soon as Oldham gets in, it's just craziness.
Yeah. Spin.
I heard that, well, I didn't hear, I actually read it in the newspaper, in these old archived newspapers. Rex said that Oldham got the 125 votes that he wanted to incorporate the town when everybody was out.
Yeah. They always do it in the summertime.
Yeah. And so, why do you think he did that?
That's how you get the votes here. That's how everything happens and changes. It's during the summer when nobody's here. They count on that. All these things that town hall wants to get passed, they hold off until everybody's gone. No objections, so they got her.
And so he kind of formed that pattern, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so as I'm reading in the town minutes, and as I'm hearing from people's comments, Oldham really went after water and sewer. That's kind of.
Yeah, he did.
He wanted to own it for himself, so to speak.
Yeah.
Why would he want to own the water and sewer plant?
Big money. Money.
Well, as a mayor, technically you don't, unless you're embezzling it, you don't get to keep any of that money, right? So why would he want to own it?
I don't know why he would want to own it.
Another thing that Mr. Byrd said in his news article was that he owned RV parks.
Yeah.
And so if he owned the water treatment plant, he could propose and get a bill passed that would
service his RV parks, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah. And that wasn't my theory. I didn't know
No.
what was what, but I just read that in the paper. Would that be a reasonable explanation for?
Well, it could be, yeah,
Yeah.
possible.
There was also, just speaking to the character of these guys, I know that Oldham countersued Byrd after Byrd sued Oldham for a well that went bad, or
Yeah, it could be.
didn't pay him for a well, and that caused like their
Yeah.
friendship to deteriorate, and that's why they were kind of at each other's throats. But Byrd had a following. You know, the Oldham side says that Byrd was corrupt and was going after the money, and of course, Byrd supporters say Oldham side
Yeah.
was going after the money and stuff like that. I can't really find hard and fast proof, but everything reported in the papers say that their characters were such that it would be more likely that Oldham would be the one
Yeah.
that was going after that stuff. What do you have? Do you have any comment on that?
I don't really know. I don't know where Byrd ended up in Quartzsite. I'm not sure where that happened at. He used to be a big tunnel man back in New York, that's the way I understand him. Made a lot of money back there. I don't know why he ended up in Quartzsite or how that happened.
Mm-hmm. Furthering on the question of character,
Yeah.
I heard that Oldham sued his mom for something.
I've heard that. I don't know what that was over.
Yeah, I mean I can go down to the courthouse and get records
Yeah,
of it,
yeah.
but I didn't know if anybody knew about that.
Yeah, several people have told me that, but I don't recall that. It probably happened.
Well, there was some property when it was divvied up for an RV park or something like that. I can't work out the details, but like
Yeah.
I said, I'll go down and get the transcripts or whatever.
Who is Roth, and tell me about Roth.
Who?
Mike Roth.
Oh, Mike. Mike's a good friend of mine. His irritates a lot of people. He's a libertarian. He's been into some trouble here, but he's got some money that he come into somehow. I'm not sure how. I think he was in Utah at the time, but he's owned several pieces of land here in Quartzsite and a mine in Utah someplace out of Salt Lake. In fact, his wife kept our house up for a while, just as a housekeeper, when my wife was sick and I came down with this brain hemorrhage. And she was here for a few weeks anyway. I remember that. But I've just known Mike and his wife ever since day one, I guess. I don't know what year he actually came to Quartzsite. I get along with him just fine.
Who is Jennifer Jones, and tell me about her.
Jennifer Jones, yeah. She had the Desert Freedom Press, and she was a dog groomer. I've helped Jennifer for quite some time in delivering papers and picking up papers at the printer's office, as most people have that knew her here. And we're on her side. There's her side and the other side. Very, very sharp, intelligent lady. I think she's remarried. Jennifer Espinoza,
yeah.
Espinoza, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't see anything wrong with Jennifer. She tried. She's been through a lot of trouble here.
Who's Ed Foster? Tell me about his involvement.
Ed Foster was a mayor here for 2 terms, and I got along fine with Ed. He wanted to change the police department and have the sheriff take it over, and I thought that was a good idea. But now I think he's changed his mind again.
Tell me about the police department. What was the problem with them?
Jeff Gilbert was the biggest problem. I think you've interviewed him, haven't you?
I'm supposed to be getting with him soon.
Yeah. He's really a smooth talker. He can work around any question you ask him, and you believe him, even though it's a big lie. He didn't want to investigate anything here. There's been people got murdered here, and he's slept off on. It's like they didn't want to involve the city in anything when he was the police chief. He got everybody shook up over what he was pulling off with these guys. Making arrests that shouldn't have ever been made. A lot of people have been arrested. Well, Jennifer Jones, Mike Roth, Doug Guilford. I don't know if you've got to hold of Doug or not. He probably won't talk with you. They've kind of changed But
Yeah, I get the impression that Doug is kind of PTSD from all that.
yeah, he is. Yeah, he went through misery for no reason. Taking picture at town hall videos, just like you're doing right here.
Yeah, which is
That was a big thing.
which is a right that everyone has
Oh yeah,
in public.
they even took tape and taped off an area that you can't cross over. And he was across it one day when they were putting it down. He was on the other side, but it just got crazy when that group was in.
So I heard heard a lot of things about Will Ponce,
Yeah.
the current chief. And he was one of my first interviews, actually.
Was he?
And I've heard great things about him.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any like horrible things about him.
Yeah.
But what I have heard is that he was actually one of the corrupt cops back when the chief was ordering people to do stuff. Is that true?
I don't know that he was corrupt. I always got along with Will ever since. He'd been on the police department a long time, back when it was probably a marshal's service.
So would he not follow the chief's orders?
I don't know when he was working for Gilbert. There was a lot of them that didn't like Gilbert, as he was having to do things that they shouldn't have been doing. And I always thought a lot of Ponce.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's doing now. I'm out of it, and I'm staying away from it.
Right. So it seems like the best thing to do for for blood pressure and
Right.
things like that. And he comes across to me that same way,
Yeah.
which is why I was kind of surprised. Because usually it's hard to get people like Chief Gilbert to talk
Oh yeah.
because they have stuff to hide. But Will didn't come off that way. He
Yeah.
came off like, no, let's sit down. I'll tell you about this crazy story.
Right.
And I don't. That's from an interviewer's perspective. That's just kind of the
Feeling you got, yeah.
yeah. So tell me about Russell Sias.
Russell, I don't know real well. Nice guy. He's been in the same trouble as everybody else. Arrested several times for no reason, no real reason. Probably jailed. I don't know if he'd been jailed or not. Probably had. But things like that was taking place, and just way out of line for Gilbert to be getting by with it.
Yeah. So you said Jones, Roth, Foster. Foster was arrested. Sias, Guilford, all in the height of everything.
Yeah.
What was it like living in town during that time?
Oh man. You didn't know whether to go out or not. What's going to happen? I try to keep my nose as clean as I can, not say too much bad about anybody. And you didn't want to. You didn't want to say anything. You don't know if you're going to get arrested or not. It wasn't an easy time.
That sounds a little bit like communist era Russia or maybe Germany.
Yeah, same thing. You don't know who to talk to.
That kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit.
Yeah.
That happened in America.
Yeah.
As I understand it, America was founded on the principles that try to fight that.
Right.
And in fact,
That's
America entered the war to fight that somewhere else.
Right.
In World War I and II. And to a certain extent, Vietnam, but that's a whole different ball of conversation. Tell me about Al Johnson.
Al Johnson, Little Al. He was a troublemaker. We started hiring assistant town managers. We couldn't be good enough to have a town manager. Now they have to have assistants, which is right now it's really a big expense. Big expense. Little Al was about as crooked as the rest of them at the time. Alex Taft was a town manager, and she had been a librarian and wasn't a good librarian, so they hired her as a town manager. She wasn't qualified as a librarian when they hired her, so they took her out and put her in as manager. And it went from there to her appointing Little Al to all these other hats that he had to wear. He was just as crooked as the rest of them at the time. I don't know who got along with him.
What sort of things did he do that?
Just harassment. He harassed Jennifer Jones. He'd harass Mike. Go to their place and spy on them. Different things like that. I think Russell was a manager at Crawford Trailer Park for a while. They even got the fire truck to go over and climb up on it and video them trying to catch them doing something. That was crazy.
It's not an appropriate use of town
No,
resources, I would think.
no, it isn't. And some of the council would borrow the town equipment to go work on their personal venues.
Did he mess with vendors at all?
Little Al, I'm not real sure on that, how much he had to do with the vendors.
I heard that what they would do is they'd wait until the season started,
Yeah,
the swell, and then revoke people's permits.
take the permits.
And then they wouldn't renew them until after
Oh,
after the season, so they couldn't make money the whole year.
Yeah.
Essentially, because
Very possible, but I can't confirm that.
yeah. And what about you mentioned Alex Taft? What was her role?
She was town manager and just called the shots.
Was she a true to form? Was she corrupt like the rest of them?
Oh yeah, had to be.
What kinds of things would she do?
Whatever it took to satisfy the group that was in at the time. It's kind of the way I felt. They had their own agenda, things they wanted to do and get done, and she'd go along with all of it, just like Gilbert and the rest of them. Little Al, they'd hire who they wanted to that would get the job done.
When I watched some of the archival news footage, right, of when the news, I don't know, Channel 15, I think it was, ABC 15, would come down and ask her, I don't know, she seemed like a spokesperson.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, did she use that station, that position, to hide or lie or gloss over what was going on?
Well, I'm sure she did. I can't pinpoint certain things, but I'm sure she did. It just got to a point where you kind of wanted to avoid it. You didn't want to go to the meetings. Stay home.
Yeah.
And that's the way they liked it. Very few people in the audience.
Talking about the actual meetings themselves, what did they look like in the height of all of this stuff? I mean, was it divided? What was the climate?
Yeah, it was pretty divided. Red shirts, the blue shirts. It's crazy. Some of that was standing room only. They brought that many people in.
Right.
A lot of arguments, a lot of noise.
I have a certain series of questions that I ask everybody, and everybody says something in a different way. So
Yeah,
I want to make sure that they're all kind of getting linked or something I can use in a flow with the other one. So this is my wheels turning. That's what that. It was rumored that the town was embezzling money from the HERF fund. Do you know anything about that?
They didn't embezzle, they just borrowed it and told you they did.
Borrowed it and what?
Told you that it was illegally borrowing it, but it had to be paid back. But it's there. So if they could use it, they did.
When did that start? What's the history of that?
That started back during Taft's regime, Gilbert's and all that.
All right.
I'm not sure who the mayor was at the time. I've lost some of that. There's been quite a few mayors.
Yeah. Busby might have been. Bennett.
That Bennett was short term.
Was he?
Oh yeah, real short. Yeah, that was early.
What do you know about Dan Field?
I don't really know a lot about Dan. He finally got fired at the county level. He's always been on the corrupt side, I guess.
Not too many people do know much about him.
No, he don't. He made some deals with the county and got him into big debt over the dump up there, the landfill, the super landfill. And I think that was $9 million or so that he ended up having to, the county had to come up with to get out of that. I don't know if they've ever even got started on paying that back. That is a super dump. I mean, they even want to put a railroad siding in there. It's so big, and they still haul in waste from California to this dump up here. I don't know what the potential is, how many years it can go like that.
Right.
They claim it's big.
So what happened as a result of all of the false arrests? So some people fought back, and some people did or didn't file suit. What all happened there as a result?
I'm not real sure. Some that filed suit got paid out. I know that. Several of them got paid out because it was an illegal thing to do. I don't know of anybody that didn't, that got in on the lawsuit part of it, didn't get paid out.
So it was actually proven in court that these were
Oh
illegitimate
yeah,
arrests.
yeah, right, yeah.
And who
Falsely arrested.
Right. Yeah, all of the baseless stuff that went on. Did anybody reach out for help beyond the town level to anybody else beyond?
Oh yeah, they written to the state level, AG's office. His assistant, as I always referred you to, in Phoenix. You couldn't get any help. Nobody wanted to come to Quartzsite for anything. They just stayed away.
And why do you think that was?
I don't know. You could never get anybody of authority to come in and investigate. I guess they've had FBI here a few times. Other than knowing that they stayed at the Super 8 motel, that's about all you heard about them. They were here and now they're gone. They sat in on a few meetings at town hall. Nothing ever came of it.
And did they ever investigate the chief, or?
Oh, I'm sure they did.
You don't know the
But I
reason?
don't know what happened.
What do you think would happen if this kind of thing went down in a place like Phoenix?
Boy, I don't know. It'd be more than national news, I guess. Quartzsite was bad enough when all this broke on Quartzsite.
Well, I'm kind of curious what you think would happen if we had a corrupt police force in a place like Phoenix, and you had people reaching out to the FBI.
Yeah.
What do you think the response would be?
Oh, I think they'd investigate that for sure. But people just don't want to come to Quartzsite. They've heard too much about it.
Yeah.
They just try to avoid it.
Do you think that's because like the population's small, so they think, well, it's a numbers game? You know, like there's too few people there to make it worth our time or something?
Probably.
Yeah.
We really haven't grown that much in the years I've been here, population-wise. A few new things have come in. We got Family Dollar now and Dollar General. Other than those two, I can't really think of any other major business. Had Beals, that went out, and there's a new business coming in there, storage, climate-controlled storage. I don't know how that's going to fly. Mm-hmm. I don't see that many people wanting to store things climate-controlled for what he's got to pay to keep the temperature right.
Right.
I also heard he's going to try to do a mall, small shop business out front in the daytime. I don't know. Never talked to the guy.
Yeah, at the storage place.
Right.
So we talked a little bit about what it was like to live in town, kind of like in fear and things like that during all of that stuff. What happened on the personal level, like to local families or local businesses or just the town on an individual level? What happened to folks there?
I don't know on an individual level. You didn't see much change. I can't say what would happen or what did happen then.
Well, what I was hoping is that you knew something about like so I interviewed Paul Weiner.
Yeah.
And he said that it really affected families. People wouldn't go to certain businesses because they thought these guys were aligned with the A team or the B team.
Yeah, that did take place.
What else do you know about that? I mean,
Not that much. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it.
You didn't lose any friends over it?
No.
Or? Do you know anything about Dana Stadler and his truck?
I don't know anything.
Why do you think this sort of thing happened in Quartzsite?
It was an easy place for somebody to start it. It was just kind of running along on its own before the county had control and nobody was trying to do anything. Just day by day, everything worked and it was working great for us being a stopping point and attracting a lot of people because they got the largest BLM camping areas around, probably some of the 3 largest in the state right here. People came for that and they stayed. Nobody stays 6 months anymore, very, very few. They just move on. Come down it'll be busy, super busy in January for 3 or 4 weeks. And just dwindles down after that to nothing. Back to nobody at the post office when you go. And you know what it's like now.
That's got to be nice.
And that's just getting started now.
Do you think this kind of thing can happen in other towns?
Probably not in a town. If it was a newly developed town in a small area like this, it might get a toehold. I don't look forward to anybody doing it, but
Yeah. What sort of things can people do to avoid it? Are there any telltale signs to look for?
you just got to be careful who you got in there running the place. Know something about your elected officials. And then you can't really tell till they get in and see what they can get by with and what their friends could get by with.
I guess that's all the way up the chain, isn't
All
it?
the way up the chain. Right up to the president.
Who else do you know of that's been around as long as you have that might be able to interview?
Boy, I got to think about that one. Not that many people here. Most of my old people that were here when I came and know them, they're gone. I can't think of hardly anybody that would have been here this long, and none of my friends.
There's a lot of mystery sort of shrouding, and this is kind of a new topic for me. I haven't really interviewed a whole lot of people about this, but I figured you might know. There's a lot of mystery surrounding Richard Oldham's wife. Why is she so mysterious? Do you know anything about her?
The only one I knew of was Timmy, and she was the billboard model for Black Velvet whiskey, the lady in black, beautiful blonde, big billboards all over with that on it. That was his first wife, I understand. I don't think he's been married since. He's had 2 or 3 girlfriends, living girlfriends and secretaries and so forth.
Yeah, I guess I was talking about Deborah Ireland.
No, that's his current girlfriend. I don't think they're married.
Why is everybody so cagey? Well, not cagey, but they kind of say she's, I don't know, mysterious, has false names. And
Yeah, she has been known to have different names. They don't really understand what he sees in her, other than she's got him under control. And a couple of years ago, they were talking to somebody, and she wouldn't let Richard swallow his food. He'd been putting on some weight or had a stomach problem or something, and she said, well, just chew it up and then don't swallow it, spit it out. Now, he was on that kick for a while, but I haven't heard any more since. That was hearsay, of course. Somebody supposedly talked to her or him.
yeah, that's like a different form of bulimia, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
It's an interesting way to diet. I do recall that she had some kind of a health blog or a health publication or something like that.
I don't know.
Maybe that had something to do with it. New Age
That could be.
remedies or something. Oh, here's one thing I heard, and in fact I heard this from Norm Simpson. He said that Chief Gilbert, when he was a chief, was on the take from the cartels.
That could be, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, because this is kind of a drug
There's
corridor.
it is, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
In fact, supposedly the kingpin of the drugs was, in my time, the manager of the Chevron station, the old Chevron downtown, Paul Norris. I think he knew that I knew what he was doing, and we used to have an old post office annex down at the other end of town, down by the big market. Just a big block building. When they put the 4 lanes in, they put a center turn lane if you're going east to turn on Moon Mountain. Well, the post office is on the left, so the center turn lane is not to be used if you're going to the post office from this direction. So my wife and I were down there one day, and I said, well, we're going to go by the police station to find out. Can we turn into that turn lane with the arrow going the opposite way and go to the post office? Should we do that? So we went down and talked to them. No, you can't do that. That's only if you want to turn from the west to go to down Moon Mountain. Don't turn in to the post office. Pull up, stop if there's traffic, and then turn when it's safe. So that's what we've been doing. And one day there's vehicles coming down the road, and we stopped and somebody comes skidding up behind us, squealing the tires. It was a blue Mustang. I didn't know who it was. Finally roared around us on the right in the dirt. I went ahead and turned into the post office. My wife says, he's up there at Big Market doing a donut, and he's coming back. I had no idea who it was. He pulls up beside of me. I got out and walked over there and looked down to see who it was. I said, oh, Paul Norris. I buy gas off you all the time. What's the problem? He said, you're not supposed to be in that lane to turn. You're supposed to be in the center lane. That's why they put it in there. I said, no, you got to go to the police station and find out. I did. I did it properly. Well, after that, we'd come up to a stoplight. He'd be ahead of us for some reason. And the light turned green, he'd sit there. He wouldn't go. As soon as the light turned red, he'd turn, and then we're sitting there again. So I go turn him in. And they go talk to him. Oh, he wasn't driving the car that day. That must have been his son. So this is when Gilbert was on. He wouldn't do anything to him. And I had a friend that lived over here in the apartments said she wanted to go into a assisted living home, and she had picked up a brochure at Town Hall that there was assisted living in Quartzsite. I said, no, you're wrong. And she said, well, here's a brochure on it. I have had it. I don't know what's happened to it. I've got it here someplace, but it advertised a place here in town that showed pictures, and inside the parking lot was full of cars, and the tour inside, according to the three-page fold-out brochure, it showed nice rooms and people inside. Well, come to find out, that was an open house picture that somebody else was trying to sell their place, and the guy was working on those cars, doing minor body work to show in the parking lot. And the original assisted living was down here in a trailer park. People had owned a trailer park that was known as a dope park. So a friend of mine, Sandy Scott, I don't know if you've talked to Sandy or not, haven't heard his name. Now she's somebody born and raised here. Her and I worked together on several things like that, and with Paul Norris, because she didn't like Paul either for some reason. But she came over one day and said, I know where that nursing home's at. You want to go look at it? I said, well, sure. So I got in my car, because I had to have the scooter on it then, and right down Plymouth. And just before you get to Everett, you take a right, and there's a great big long white trailer up through the wash and over on the right. She said, that's it. She said that you can drive around, go right around, turn this around, and go behind it, come back up, and you come back out on the same street. So I did, and there's a blue Mustang parked underneath the cover back there in the back of it. I didn't even pay attention to it. I just saw it, a glimpse of it. And we went on around, and she said, look who's behind you. Paul Norris, revving up his engine and blowing his horn. I said, I'm going to do right, turn on the street and go back out to Plymouth. So we did, and the horn blowing all the way. I stopped, nobody coming. I turned. He passes me on the left right there. No passing zone, all the way down to Plymouth, blowing his horn. And then I said, now he's got to turn in up here on Coyote Street. And sure enough, he cuts right in front of me and makes a U-turn up Coyote Street. So I went right to the cop shop and turned him in. And the same old story. Who was that cop that came and told me? I said, I want to report on this. I don't want you to pass it off again. So I went down to get the report, and they said it wasn't Paul. It was his son. We talked to him, and he said he wasn't driving. One of his friends was driving Paul's car, and he knew nothing about it. But I know he was delivering dope down there. That guy ended up, he was a fifth a day guy drinking Crown Royal, if you can believe that. Fifth a day of Crown Royal. And went through that for a while, and finally they vanished. They took off and But she was offering, in fact, she had a neighbor over here that she was offering to do services, care services for her. She was 99 years old at the time. I knew her son, and I told him, I said, she's not supposed to be doing that. She's not licensed or with the state or anybody. And it finally broke, and they vamoosed and got out of here.
Now you said Norris. This isn't
Paul Norris.
He isn't related to the other Norris in town. Is it Linda Norris, Kathy Norris, or something?
Oh yeah, her former husband.
Oh really?
I think
The lady that was working for the police department.
Sheriff's office. Yeah.
So the husband of the girl that was working for the QPD was a drug dealer.
Yeah, big time. They got divorced. Karen was the city finance director. And she got fired in the group when they fired all the cops and everybody else. They eventually got around to firing some of the people inside that had more knowledge of things. And Karen they were divorced, and Karen got a job someplace over in eastern Arizona doing the same thing as a finance director. She was a good one. What else? I left out something I wanted to tell you. Maybe I'll think of it in a minute.
Do you know Cherry Pritch?
No.
You don't know her? She was the wife of John Pritch. John Pritch.
Oh, I know John. Yeah. John was a councilman for a while. John just recently died, I think.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about Cherry, because I didn't know if you...
I knew one of her daughters. I can't think of her name. She used to work at the general store when we first came here. It's a Pritch.
Do you know anything about a police officer that was having an inappropriate relationship with a 15-year-old?
I remember when it happened. I'm not sure if he's still here in town or not. He's not a policeman here, but
What were the details of that?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I think he was taking him home from school or something. I don't know if he's a resource officer at the time or not. There have been several incidents like that. Things happen. Shouldn't be happening.
What are some examples of some of the other ones?
Pull over certain ladies, females, and wanting to do trade-offs. That's happened several times.
Like for sexual favors?
Oh yeah.
Like, I won't give you a ticket if
Yeah.
you and I go off behind
Right.
the bush or whatever.
That's happened a few times.
I guess in a town where the female pool is limited.
Yeah.
We talked about the water treatment. That was the start of the town. That's what Oldham wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you also said that they just now got a loan figured out to do the water treatment plant. So we're talking
Well, they've had one all this time.
Mhm.
This is an upgrade. They need all this extra space for some reason. The drying bed is what was a problem in the summertime. Was the drying bed? It dried out because there's not enough people using the septics or water. And if they would have split that old drying bed into two parts, opened up half of it, it would have been sufficient for the summer. Open up the other half, but now they've got, I understand, 6 new drying beds in. Whether they'll work or not, I don't know. But it was a big expense again, and I don't think they had the first one paid off before they jumped in and did the second one.
Ed Foster tells me that the town council had this big contention that we really need, there was all this pollution, we really need a new treatment plant. Did they actually need a new treatment plant?
If they'd have done upkeep on the old one, they wouldn't have. But they didn't. They neglected it all this time. Everything was rotted out, busted up. If it had been kept up, preventative maintenance, I've always been for that, and they didn't do any of it.
Why do you... So here we are, nearly 30 years later,
Yeah.
and they're just now getting to that one.
Right.
So apparently they really didn't need a new one.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't failed in 30 years.
Yeah.
And, I mean, what's your
It
take
would have
on that?
worked if they'd kept it up.
Mhm.
And if they'd have split the drying bed that they had. But they're looking forward to a new motel and a new truck stop and all these big pipe dreams. May happen, may not happen.
Now, to my mind, I'm looking at it just from what people have been telling me. Just like you said, the season used to be 6 months long.
Oh, yeah.
There used to be people in here all the time. There used to be elbow to elbow on the streets, et cetera, et cetera. And so, and at that time, when they were saying they needed a new treatment plant, they clearly didn't need one because it took care of all of that.
Yeah.
And now that they have a smaller season, even less people in a shorter time,
Right.
now they've got a new one.
Yeah.
So,
But they see the money coming in because they're going to expand now. People are on water, not on sewer. They're going to force them to hook up to sewer. And if it's available and you're not hooked up, you still pay minimum. That's where a lot of people really got nailed. The water's there, the sewer's within reach, but they don't want to spend the money to pipe it up. It's probably expensive to hook up. I've heard as high as $7,500 just to hook up to a sewer
that's per resident.
per resident.
Huh. Yeah, that's an expense I don't even know anybody who would really have just to throw
No.
out.
No. One of the former town managers said that they owned property up near Las Vegas, and that was nothing compared to what they had to pay to get their sewer hooked up. That was Laura Bruno. She was a controversial town manager for a while too. Have you investigated her at all, Laura Bruno?
She keeps coming up, but it's as like tertiary.
Yeah.
I heard she was sort of a quagmire, kind of a thorn in people's sides, but
Yeah.
at the same time she didn't outwardly cause as much trouble as
No.
the big names.
She was one that started out with just voluntarily saying, we're going to legally borrow this money from her. It's there, we're going to use it. Alex had some, and then when Laura came in as a sort of an interim manager, then she just said, we're going to do it. And she did. She's pretty controversial too with her association with the California School Teachers Association and all that. It's a big golden parachute retirement fund and so forth.
I heard, I think Russell Sias told me that she left, in her previous town manager position, she left them with a $40 million debt or something.
Big time.
Yeah. Well, do you know anything about that?
No, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big scam over in California when she'd done something to get a lot of retirement money out of it for the school teachers or somebody over there. She made big headlines during that time.
Why do you think, so Chief Gilbert was basically getting fired from CRIT when he was hired here.
Yeah.
Martin Brannon was
Yeah.
basically,
It was a joke.
he was basically getting fired from the county when he got hired here. And
Yeah.
now Laura Bruno was left on the heels of scandal out there. Why do you think Quartzsite hired those kinds of people?
They like them. They fit right in. They fit into their scheme.
Do you think that they hired them because they thought they could bend to corruption?
Oh yeah. That's why they would like those people. My feelings anyway.
Yeah. Who's Machine Gun Joe?
Oh, he was a councilman for a while. He made that comment one night on an open mic up there that nobody was supposed to hear. I don't know who all was on the front row, but Machine Gun Joe said to one of his co-workers up there that they'll just take and machine gun them all on the front row that night. I think Mike was up there and 2 or 3 of his people sitting on the front row. And the word got out real quick.
And that's how he got his nickname?
That's how he got his nickname,
Yeah.
Machine Gun Joe. People get on that council, and if they don't bend the right way, then they don't get in again, normally.
I hear all you have to do is run for council.
Yeah, you can't find anybody who wants to volunteer or do anything.
You remember the big famous Jennifer Jones arrest?
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah.
That has been told to me was a catalyst for big change.
Yeah.
Like it was at a height. It was simmering and simmering, and finally that was the boiling
That was the
point.
one that took him away. All that. Got a lot of notoriety and publicity, and
After that, as I understand it, that grabbed the attention of a group called the Oath Keepers.
they came and had a big march demonstration.
What happened after that?
It just slowly faded away. Nothing. Everything changed at town hall. Different people got in. First thing you know, you're back where you were at.
Do you think that the march with these armed guys walking through town, do you think that got the town council to wake up and be like, oh, okay, well,
I don't think it woke them up.
really?
No. It made national news, I know that. That was good. That probably had more to do with waking them up eventually than anything else.
You don't think they were intimidated by M16s?
Oh, I'm sure they were intimidated. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure they were.
And you said you're right back where you're at. Where are we at now with the council?
Somewhat better, but I don't think it's, like you say, you can't find enough good people to volunteer to do that. Nobody wants to mess with it.
Tell me about the current council. Are any of them corrupt?
I don't know. You don't understand the budget when it's presented because now it's all in percentages from each department. I know it's a $25 million budget for Quartzsite for 19 and 20, but nobody knows for sure how it's divided up between the different departments. A percentage here and a percentage there. It's hard to come up with a figure. But it's the best place to work if you're able to work and high school degree, you can get a pretty good paying job right here. You may have to drive back and forth from someplace else. Not enough people that age that wants to work for the town that live here. So they come from Parker or Yuma, or even had one cop at one time coming from San Luis, clear down on the border. They come up and work 4 or 5 days and stay here and then drive back.
Yeah, 6 figures is probably worth it.
Oh yeah.
Let's do an experiment.
Okay.
Let's say that Chief Gilbert was sitting right here.
Yeah.
Right now. Would you have any questions or comments for him?
Oh, I always did have. He came down here at the community room for it wasn't coffee for the cops or with the cops. He started that. I never did go to a meeting, but he came a couple of times on invitation down to would have a potluck, and he'd have 2 or 3 of the cops down. And he finally came one night, and I had questions for him then, and I still don't have answers for him. They've glossed it over. A lady that lived here, we used to babysit her kids, was murdered. They couldn't find her body anyplace, and all of a sudden it shows up a week or 2 weeks later. And first story was vehicle's gone, and then they found it someplace else, and then it was back here. We never did get a clear picture of Laura Victoria's death. They found her, she was barefooted, her feet were clean. She'd walk through shale if she was barefooted, which your feet wouldn't be clean, they'd be all bloody. And it was in the wintertime. She wouldn't be walking barefooted. They never did a thorough investigation on it. Another lady that got murdered here, can't think of her name, she lived in one of the trailer parks just over on Regals. She worked the same place that Laura worked. It used to be the Exxon gas station over on, it's the Arco right now. She went into her trailer one night, walked home from work into her trailer at, I don't know if it was Arco at the time or if it was still Exxon. But somebody followed her in, and it was one of the guys that worked there apparently. Stabbed her repeatedly, I think 37 times. She got away and went into her bathroom and closed the door, turned the water on to work herself off as he was jabbing her all the way. And on the way out, she collapsed in there in the shower that night. And on the way out, he set the front part of the trailer on fire. Well, that went neglected for a long time, and we got some police here. Hilario Tanaki is a good friend of mine, and I kept talking to him about it, and he brought a couple of other guys over, and we talked about it. We brought Sandy Scott in, and then they went on a big trip to interview relatives and so forth, and they finally arrested this guy that was working at Vicksburg at the gas station there. And he sat in jail for a couple of years, and he went to trial, and then they found him not guilty with all the evidence they'd gathered up. He's a definite firebug. I would be surprised that he wasn't behind Laura's death too, but could never prove it, and it got overlooked. The only thing that came out of the final autopsy just probably 2 years ago, and that was back a long time ago, was it was exposure to the elements. Nothing happened. But then there was a guy worked here or lived here that heard a lot of noise from a visiting Mexican's apartment that said that they had her inside there working her over, and they wouldn't interview him either. They just let it all slide by. Victor Lee, I don't know if Victor Lee's still around or not.
Families just don't have peace from that, no?
No. I'm sure it's happened. Well, there's another guy walked away that lives in the same area. It's funny, all these girls are from this same area that disappeared. This was a guy that stayed in Al's RV park, and he disappeared one night. He left his car home. He left his wallet on the table, his cell phone on the table, and they couldn't find him. They were over a year. They'd checked all the areas where he could have possibly walked to. Never did find him. In the next spring, a couple used this Skadden War campground area for an overnight campground and took a walk that morning down a trail. And coming back, the lady said, "Well, what's that over there?" It's a big brown area under a creosote bush. So I went over and looked, and it was a body laying there. Well, it was Eric, the missing man from the trailer park. They'd found out. Didn't suspect anything, and they should have. The cop that was over there and found it told me there was still meat on his backbone when they rolled him over. That the coyotes had found him and chewed his legs off, his feet and his arms. But he said he still had, I said, "Is it a chance he's been in the freezer?" I always suspected somebody put him in the refrigerator or a freezer. They said, "Well, it should come out in the autopsy," but never did. Nobody would look for it. But you couldn't lay there for a year and have hide meat on your bones, back bones, in between your ribs and your backbone.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just, they don't care. Slide by. Now the guy that they released, I assume he's still under watch for something. The one that they did arrest for that suspected arson homicide. But things like that go on, people forget about it.
Let's put this into context, right? So you got police targeting people,
Right.
At the behest of the town council,
Right.
But they weren't just giving them speeding tickets.
No.
They were charging them with felonies.
Felonies, yeah.
Why do you think they would go so hard?
Gilbert kept pushing it. They had the ability here to run license plates and get a feed. They've taken that away from them now after Gilbert was doing all that, because he would run your plate any place to see who you got visiting, or run their plate. If he saw a strange car at your house, he'd run it to see who's that. Wonder who that is. He did that all over town. If he knew who you were, and there was a strange vehicle there, why, he'd run your plates. Next thing you know, they're following you, and the next thing you know, they're giving you a ticket for something. But that's about as corrupt as he could get. He just didn't want to do anything.
But
Irritate people.
so why that level? Well, why? Because a felony will destroy your life.
Oh, yeah.
It'll put you in jail. It'll
Yeah.
prevent you from having a certain job or owning
Right.
a weapon or voting.
Yeah.
You know, that's some serious hardship. And so, why do you think that they were that flagrant, though? Why not just tickets and?
I have no idea why they'd go that far. You'd think they realize they're digging their own grave. Eventually, it's going to come out.
Yeah, I mean, you can only do it to so many people
Yeah,
for so
yeah.
long. So I have a theory, and it's I haven't said the theory to a lot of people, like up front, because then you'll just be thinking, oh yeah, that's totally the theory. So I've kind of asked, kind of like I'm doing with you, why do you think they did that? My theory is that way back when Oldham started the town, going after the water treatment, HERF money was available that started getting filtered through a couple things. It seems like a crazy coincidence. Like, I get it, it's a desert town, water's important, but it was on every single agenda meeting. Water, sewer, etc. And there's a lot of money going through that water treatment plant.
There is.
And you would think you'd have a water treatment plant that could service Los Angeles or something, based on how much money they've been debating over this, but nothing's ever happened for 30 years.
Right.
So do you think it's a possibly good explanation for them to be so vehemently protecting, or at least like, as soon as you start asking questions, you're targeted. You get shut down real quick. Do you think that it's a possible explanation that they were embezzling money and paying out cash throughout the
Well, they could have been, yeah.
Yeah?
Sure.
And that would be a reasonable explanation for...
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the next guy that comes in picks up on it. It just keeps rolling along.
Yeah, because you get rid of one, but
Yeah.
the money's still flowing.
Money's still flowing. What do we do with this?
Yeah. I would be, obviously I'm not going to get the chief to say, oh yeah,
No.
that's totally what we were doing, you know.
Nobody's going to fess up.
Yeah. But I figured I'd run that by because Ed says he's actually talked to people that have told him that
Yeah.
outright.
I'm sorry.
And a guy named Rocky Birch, who ran Oldham's Airport for a while, also said that he has sort of proof of that.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense that someone would just target people at the behest of the town hall and risk their police
Yeah.
certification for no reason.
Right.
But if you're getting paid 6 figures under the table, that's a pretty good
So
reason.
there's a difference. That's kind of what Ed got in on, wanted to see that. Where's that money go?
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever got satisfied that it was legitimate or not.
I think that he told me that his objective was, I don't want to know because if I know, I'll be targeted.
Yeah.
But I just wanted it to stop.
Yeah.
I think that's what his stance was.
Right.
And that's a shame. I would have wanted to know.
Yeah.
You know. But I'm not him. He's not me. Okay, what question have I not asked? What do you think is important for people to know about Quartzsite?
I don't see it ever being a big city. No industry. I can't imagine big industry wanting to come here and survive the summers. Brutal. Overhead is so expensive here. Power and sewer and water, whatever you hook up to is going to cost you a lot of money. I'm on several Quartzsite web pages, and I see people wanting to come to Quartzsite. I want to move there. Why? So come on over and take a look at it. But think about moving here. If you got kids, really think about it. The school here, I saw that built and utilized to its fullest years ago, and now it's downhill. No money, no teachers that amount to anything that want to stay here. They talked about closing it down, and they still bus kids to Ehrenberg, which is unbelievable. I don't know if they're still, how active this school is here. It's big, a nice gymnasium, good classrooms. They're not going to utilize it if they can't keep it up. That's the big thing. They say they got one toilet that they have to dump a bucket of water in every time to flush it. No excuse for that. I can't see where that's. But if they don't offer the teachers anything, money-wise, nobody will show up.
Yeah, it's always a strange debate. You know, why are you paying cops more than teachers?
Yeah.
Or something like that. It's because you want to know where the town's focus is. You just look for where the money's going.
Yeah. Most of the money here generated goes out of town. I know that.
All right. Well, I think that's probably all I have. And feel free to if you do think of like any of your friends that might want to chat.
Yeah.
I'll leave my number with you. Feel free to give my number to people that might know a little bit about the town. I mean, you've sat through the interview now, so you know what kind of questions.
Sandy Scott would be a good one for you to visit.
I find her on Facebook or something.
She's got a beauty shop down at the other end of town behind a jerky store. I'm not sure what she calls it. She's a beautician. We kind of adopted her as a daughter when we first came to Quartzsite, and then she's had 3 kids since then, and we had grandkids here then. So she's been close contact for a long time.
Right.
She had to get out of the beauty shop. She worked with her mom at Cactus Curlers for years as a manager, and they didn't get along too good. So she started her own shop this year, and last year. Maybe 2 years ago, I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to work with family.
I've lost time, track of time. But anyway, she'd be really good because she's been here since she was born.
That would be a good contact to have then.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And she knows a lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot of stuff.
The insider's perspective.
Insider's perspective.
Yeah.
About.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll actually I'll send you my number on the Facebook chat that we've got going.
Okay.
And if you think of anything, feel free to call or feel free to pass my number on
Okay.
to anybody else.
Okay.
All right.
That'll work.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Well, that was my interview with Lew Wilkinson. Splendid chap, knows a lot about town, a wealth of information, and hopefully what my viewers and listeners came away with today is that with all of the crazy drama that happened in Quartzsite, I mean, basically it's the type of corruption in a town of 1,500 people reserved for kind of a population hundreds of times that size. But keep in mind that that the desert attracts a certain type of people, a certain type of person, and whether that person is running from warrants or if that person just wants to just be left alone, just have a little spot out in the desert and retire or whatever they do. The interesting factors kind of culminate in an area that just attracts the quirkiest people. So take that information as you will. Big thanks to Lew for his time in this interview. I hope he's still doing well down there in Quartzsite. If you're still listening this far, why not head over to legallyinsanenews.com and support the work that I'm doing to get these stories out and to support open government, support the First Amendment. Freedom of speech is so crucial in expressing ourselves through our votes, through our time at the podium at town council. And the lesson that we should be learning from Quartzsite's example is one where our Constitution is protected. It's one of the most important documents created in human history. And when you abuse it, issues like the ones we find and see in places like Quartzsite, it just runs rampant. And unfortunately, in the wake of the release of this documentary, when we were out releasing it for the film festival circuit, and even more recently with the viral release of Big Trouble in Little Quartzsite, I just keep hearing more and more stories of municipalities in the same situation. So it truly is widespread. You have to kind of look at it from my perspective. Imagine that you released a documentary that's impactful and that speaks to so many people and reminds them of the same kind of corruption that's going on in their town. And everybody reaches out to you. Like, imagine you were that person and you're kind of the fulcrum, right? You're the transition point between all this information and all these interviews and being able to release the kind of media that I've been able to get out because of just the enormous, I don't know what you'd call it, like a digital heap of material and actually a physical heap of material. You're at the center point. Imagine the stories you hear. And if you have stories like that, obviously please feel free to reach out to me, Kyle, at legallyinsanefilms.com. If you have a story of corruption in your town, and if it's impactful enough, and if there's enough media, and if there's people that are willing to interview about it, I may end up in your town. So let's connect. In any case, thanks so much. Please head over to legallyinsanenews.com and support more of what I do. And thanks for listening.